All right then, so in this video, what we are going to do is, so since in the part one, we successfully finished the entire UI, basic UI for the home screen and the vehicles. So we finished the vehicles and see, this is the project which we deployed. And if you check it out, the vehicles, we finished with the filtering sections and adding multiple projects by the users, where the users can get into the dashboard and they can publish their own vehicles like this, right? And only the admin can view all the other users vehicles, and he can able to approve that vehicles whether it is approved or not. Unless or until the vehicle status is not approved, it will not be visible in the user view. And we also added the push notifications as well as, right, but we couldn't complete the overview. And when the user opens any vehicles, if he wish to inquire, so if he wish to inquire that specific vehicle, so he can't inquire it because we don't have any specific time to in order to inquire about that to finish this. So now what we have to do is, to when the user clicks this, it need to take the user to the specific chat room. For this chat room, so he can communicate with the user. Just here to send, hey there, I need much more information about this vehicle, right? If he hits the enter, so that is going to send this specific message to the user. And when this specific user logs in, he can get into his chat room and he can able to access this specific that he can open the chat room and he can see that message, who contacted him and what is that message, and he can have a look into it, right? And this is what that we have to do. And as the same way we did have the contact, when the user click the contact message and send the message, we need to access those messages in the dashboard. And here and there we do have some small bugs and UI fix, and we need to fix it. So if you haven't watched the part one, so click the link. I already dropped the playlist link in the part in the description itself, so please go ahead and watch it, right? So now let's jump into the vehicle sections where we can able to inquire the user, right? So that is what we are going to do now. So let me get into our local host, and right, so let me close this. Okay, so without wasting your time, let's jump into the video. All right then, so now what we have to do is to, in this case, I'm going to create a new page. And so what we have to do is, let me open the header client and get into the navbar routes. And this is the place where we are bringing the routes for our authenticated user, just like the same way what we did for dashboard, right? So if I open the dashboard routes, and this is the place where we can see all the dashboard routes and everything, right? So if the user wants to see who he already chatted and what are the new chats and everything, so he needs to get into the dashboard screen, right? So here I'm going to create a new route called chats, and let's bring the name as chats itself. All right, so now if the user gets into here dashboard, and if he clicks these chats, this is the place where we need to bring the chats over here, right? So we need to bring the chats over there. So in order to do that, so what I need to do is, inside the dashboard, just like the overview, I'm going to create a new page called chats. And here I'm going to create a new page file called page.tsx, right? And sfc, which is going to be chats page, and div, which is going to be chats page, right? So now if I click this, it is going to take the user to the chats page. But what I need to do is, for the chat, I need to have a custom layout. I need to have a custom layout. If you check it out over here, so this is the default chat screen. But if I choose the chat room, I can able to see that specific chats, whatever in that room, and I can get back to the home screen, and I can choose a different chat rooms from the available rooms, which is I have over here, right? And it is completely responsive as well as, see, it is completely responsive. So in order to do that, what we need to do is, so let's start. All right, so let me get back over here. I'm going to create a new layout file over here, layout.tsx, right? So now inside the layout.tsx, so of course you will run into this error, don't worry about it. So I'm gonna get that chat room layout, right? So inside here I'm gonna get that chat room for the time being. And for this over here, what I need to do is I need to create a children, and which in case it's going to be the type of children itself, and that is going to be the type of react dom. Okay, oh sorry, not dom, react node. Yes, it is. All right, so now this is the place where I need to render my children. Now if I save this changes, the issue might be gone and I'm still able to see the chat page, which is the page.tsx. It's rendering inside this children. Now here what I need to do is this layout.tsx. So I'm gonna access the const auth. From the auth, I'm gonna access the user ID. If not user ID, then redirect the user to, from the next navigation, redirect the user to /sign. Okay, so now this is the place where we need to fetch the chat rooms and all those things, chat rooms and everything. So this is the place where we need to do the fetching and everything. But let's fix the UI first. So class name flex column and my top and bottom 12, and the space y it's going to be 8, right? So then instead of this, I'm gonna cut it out. Here I'm gonna bring the custom breadcrumbs which we already created, and here I'm gonna bring the breadcrumb page which is going to be the chats. Okay, so it's going to show the home and the chats. If you wish to keep it in that way, you can keep the chats, otherwise you don't need to keep it. I can delete this, it is unnecessary because it is too small. Okay, so now I can able to see the chats, and here I can able to bring the breadcrumbs. So I'm gonna bring link which is going to be slash dashboard slash overview. Okay, so let me bring the dashboard routes. I think this is alone enough. The layout slash overview itself enough, and I can keep the label as dashboard, just like this. Okay, home dashboard chats, that's going to be the breadcrumbs. And here I'm going to create a div class name which is flex item start, and inside here I'm going to bring the chat room list. This is the place where we need to bring the chat room list, and this is the place class name flex grow, and inside here this is the place where I need to bring the children, right? Which in case currently it's the, from the margin top it's going to be 4. Okay, so this is the place currently it's showing chats page, right? So far everything is good. Now let's go ahead and start customizing the schema. So let me open our schema, which in case if I scroll all the way to the bottom down now, so I need to create a new model which is going to be the chat room, open it. Then I'm going to bring the ID exactly as it is, bring the ID. Then I'm going to bring the chat room name and user ID and the chat room pic and all those informations. So copy it and then put it over here just like this. Pause the video and create it exactly as it is. Then I need to create the user A reference. So I'm going to copy this, then I'm going to put it over here. So make sure that fields are properly referred with the clerk ID only, right? Which is going to be user A ID, and this is going to be user A, right? Then I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put it over here, user B, and which is need to be properly mapped with user B ID, right? So now all we have to do is to create all these references for the user. We need to create these references. So what error we are getting? user A and B in a model chat room both refer the users. Okay, so wait a minute. User A and user B. So we need to give a name for these two things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep for this relation, I'm going to keep it as chatroom A, and for this relation, I'm going to keep it as a chatroom B. Right? So this is the names. Now I can add these relationships in the user table just by using these relation names over there. So what I can do is, so I can get back to the top to the user. So right after here, I'm going to create chat room initiated. The user A is in the chat room A. User A is going to be the user who initiated, and the chat room B, which the user B is the who, or the user who received the messages, right? Let's just create this relations over here. Chat room A and chat room A. Chat room A is the user who initiated, and chat room B is the receiver. So that is how it is being related. User A is the who initiated, and this is the guy who is going to receive. User B is always is going to be receiving the message. So try to keep it, try to understand that. Then it is going to have messages. What are the messages? And that is going to be properly by message array, which in case we don't have this, so don't worry about it, we have to create it, right? Then I'm gonna bring these two fields at created and at updated, copy it, save it, and I'm gonna add at unique property for user A ID along with the user B ID, right? Save these changes. Now let's go ahead and create the model messages where the user can keep the messages. Model message, open it, and let me get the same ID out of it, copy it and put it over here, right? Then I'm gonna bring the chat room ID. So first I need to get the chat room ID and the chat room's relationships. So get the chat room ID and the chat room relationships over here, right? So now this relation is already mapped with the messages, so we don't get any issues over here, right? Then we need to get the sender ID, so which is the user who sent the messages. So I'm going to copy and send it. So let me enable the word wrap so we can see it. See, this is the sender ID, sender, user, at relation, send messages. Field is going to be sender ID. Reference, it should be always using the clerk ID. No more changes in that. Then we need to get the receiver ID. Okay, this is the receiver ID, string, receiver, user, received messages, receiver ID, and the ID which is mapping should be clerk ID. So for these two fields, we don't have the relationship mapping on our users. So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna bring it over to the top, and right after here, I'm gonna create that messages, which is in case this is for sent messages, received messages. These relationships are have been created for messages for the sender ID and for the receiver ID. Right now it is done. Next, what I need to do is I need to create the content and deliver report for that. So I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste it over here, right? Perfect. So this is all the chat room and the messages. So you can simply copy and paste this entire schema which I already given in the gist file. So you guys can copy the entire schema, updated schema from our gist file, just like including the chat rooms and the messages. Just you can copy it from here and you can paste it over here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the server, npx Prisma generate, then npx Prisma db push the changes to our databases, right? So clear it, then npx Prisma, sorry, dev npm run dev. All right, so let's refresh the changes. So let it start the server and close the schema, we don't need it anymore. So now we have that. Okay, perfect. So now what I have to do is, let me get into the vehicles page, choose any vehicle, let me open it. And when I click this, I need to create the chat room. So let me get into the vehicle, where it is inside the routes search, vehicle ID, and inside the client over here. This is inside the info section. So we have to get into the info section because that is the place where we do have the inquire now button. So instead of on hover, it is having the transparent background. So in this I'm gonna keep it as a black itself, right? Just like that. Okay, that's perfect. Hover, I'm just going to keep the shadow medium, and hover bg should be black. All right, so that's enough. Now in this info section, now what we have to do is, whenever I click this, I'm gonna call a function, very specific function on click. When I'm going to call, I'm gonna call an on, this is going to be handle click, handle inquire now. So that is going to say data dot owner. Who's the owner? We're going to create a chat room with that owner dot id, right? We are sending that specific id. So this is the guy who's going to receive that message, right? So this authenticated user is the one who's initiating, and the owner, that's the receiver. So I'm going to copy this, right? And at the top of it, where it is, so maybe right after here, const, paste it. Okay, so now that function, it's expecting an id. Okay, so here now what I need to do is, this function initiation is done, so I need to create a parameter. That's the error, type error, nothing else. So here I'm just going to say vehicle owner id, and which in case it's going to be a string, or it can be an undefined, right? Both of them, any one of this. So if the user, it's not signed in, so we need to make sure that the user is already signed in. So here I'm going to say a const use auth. I need to make sure the user is signed in, so is signed in, and then I need to get the user informations as well as, so const use clerk. So from the use clerk informations, I can extract the user clerk. I can keep it as a clerk user, right? So here I'm gonna say if it is not signed in, if it is not signed in. So here I'm just going to say, anyways, we know we already make sure that the user, he's already authenticated or not, right? So if I click this, if the user is not signed in, because we are loading this message from where, even if the user is not authenticated, we are making sure that the user can view this page, right? If he clicks the inquire now, this is the notification that we will push the user, rise the user, right? So the user can log in himself, and he can get back over here. Right after here, if not vehicle dot owner id, in that situation, what we are going to do, we're going to write the toast dot error unable to proceed, description, the owner id is missing or invalid, please try again later, right? This is the message that we are giving it. Now inside here, now right after here, this is the place where we are going to try and catch. If there is any error is happening, I'm just going to copy and put that error message as failed to create the access chat room. If it is say so, here I'm gonna get const response equals to await chat. So here we need to say axios dot post method, open it, and we are going to create slash api slash chats. We are going to create it with this, right? So we are sending the vehicle owner id, then we are creating the chat room name. What is the chat room name? Chat room name is going to be dollar, the user who created the um mm, mm, mm. chatroom name is going to be data dot owner dot name, right? So we are going to access the owner name. Along with that, we are going to get the data dot make. Okay, so this is going to be the chat room. So I'm the one who's initiating, right? But the chat room name is going to be like this. For this particular KTM Duke bike, I'm creating the chat room, right? I'm creating the chat room. So I'm gonna contact this guy. So if I click inquire now, this for this name with this anonymous username along with this the KTM Duke, it is going to create a new chat room where I can communicate with it. So that is going to be the chat room name. Then chat profile pic, which is going to be data dot cover image. This is going to be that the profile image, right? So this is how we are going to create it. Then it is going to return from the response.data. I'm going to access back the chat room ID. Along with this, I'm going to get the message, right? Then if you wish to display like chat room already exists or chat room created successfully, you can display that message. In this case, I'm not going to show any messages as well as, but I need to push the user to that specific page. So const router equals to use router from next navigation. Please make sure. I think this is not necessary, so let me delete this. And yep, we need that. And right after here, I'm going to say router dot push the user slash chats slash dollar chat room ID, whatever the chat room it's been created, push the user to that specific chat room. Okay, if the room is already existed, we can see that room over there, right? So this is how. Now let's go ahead and create the API for it, for creating the chats and everything. So let's jump into API slash chats. Get into the app API, right click new folder called chats, and inside here I'm gonna create a new file called route.ts. All right, so here now all I have to do is to export const post method, which in case it's going to be an asynchronous function, async, and which in case it is going to receive request alone, request, right? And inside here I'm going to bring the try and catch, and if there is any error is happening, I need to return that error as well as. So I'm going to do that over here. Just bring the next response, next server, and inside the try I need to make sure the user is need to be authenticated. Then only I can access the information of the user who initiated, right? So this is the user who initiated. The authenticated user is the initiated user, right? And we are sending the vehicle owner ID, and he is the receiver, right? So here now I'm going to parse the body data. So I'm going to extract the body information. So const, and here from here, so I'm going to create from the body of the data, I'm going to extract the informations like vehicle owner ID. I'm going to extract the vehicle owner ID. Then I'm going to extract the chat room name. Then I'm going to extract the chat room profile. Okay, that's it. Then right after here, so what I'm going to do is if not vehicle room owner ID, in that situation, I'm just going to say next response bad request missing vehicle owner ID or status or something. This will be returned, right? So now I need to check whether if the chat room already exists or not. This is what we need to check. So const existing chat room is equals to await db dot chat room dot find first where the user AID. So user AID is the user who initiated, so which means the authenticated user. And then the user BID, it's going to be the vehicle owner ID. So it is going to give you the first occurrence of the same room created by the same user IDs, right? So the reason is because we might have we might have a for different vehicle ID, and yeah, we might have. So if you check the schema over here for the chat room, yep, we are creating the chat room based on the user A and the user B. So based on that, actually I think so which means every time whenever it is checking for because there is a possible a same user can create multiple vehicles, and I can able to contact the same user for different vehicles, right? So every time whenever I'm checking for it is always going to check the first instance, not going to check the rest of the things. So in this thing, what we need to do is we need to update the schema where we need to include the vehicle ID as well as. So we need to include the vehicle ID as well as. So that's the important thing. So what we need to do is, so let's include the vehicle ID where over here, let's bring the vehicle ID, and right after here I need to include the vehicle relation as well as, right? So and then in the vehicle so now we need to fix this relation error. So let's get into the vehicles where it is. So right after here, create that. So that issue will be gone. So save these changes, and you can simply copy and paste it, this updated schema from the gist file. All right, so now the routes are being up, so the schema is being updated. So next what I can do is, let me get into here. Along with this, we are sending the vehicle owner ID, and we need to send the vehicle ID as well as. So let me send the vehicle ID, which in case it's going to be data dot ID itself. That's the vehicle ID. So I can extract the vehicle ID over here. Vehicle ID. Yep, save these changes. All right, so here where the vehicle ID as well as, okay, so we made some changes on the schema, right? So npx prisma generate, then npx prisma db push. All right, so database is already synced, so clear the changes. So npm run dev, close it, and here now we can access the vehicle ID, which in case it's going to be the vehicle ID. Yep. So this is, by this way I can make sure find unique. For that we can make sure find oops, this is supposed to be find first only. Yes. So by this way we can make sure whether the same user and the receiver and for the vehicle whether chat room is already exist or not, right? So so what I need to do is, if the existing chat room is, if it is already exist, I need to return that specific chat room. So I need to say return the next response dot json, open it. I need to get the chat room ID, right? It's because that is what we are expecting. So copy this. It's a chat room ID, which in case it's going to be existing chat room dot ID, right? That is what the data that we have to send to the user, right? If it is not, if not, then what I need to do, if not, the chat room is not exist, then I need to create a new chat room. Chat room is equals to await db dot chatroom dot create, open it, and inside here I need to supply the data, which in case user A ID is going to be the user who initiated, which means the authenticated user, and user B ID is the owner ID, so vehicle owner ID. Then the vehicle ID, it's going to be the vehicle ID. Then the chat room name, it's going to be the chat room name itself, and the chat profile pic, it's going to be the chat profile picture itself. So save this changes, and right after here I need to return the same thing, copy and paste it over here, and this time this is going to be new chat room dot id, right? So this is all how we are going to create the chat room. Okay, so let's check this out. Let me inspect the elements and let me go to the console, sorry, network. And now if I click this inquire now, chat rooms, it's still pending. Okay, so we are getting an error, 404 error. Okay, chat is successfully fine. See, here we go. Chat is successfully created, payload, chat room profile, and chat room anonymous KTM. So this is how we wanted to create the chat room, and for the what vehicle we created and what vehicle owner ID. This is the vehicle owner ID, and this is the vehicle ID. So this is how all these things are been have been created, and now we've been successfully redirect to that specific chat room, right? So now all we have to do is to get back to our chats, and inside here I'm gonna copy chat room ID, and inside, oops, not here, delete this. Inside the dashboards chat, here I need to create a new page, chat room ID, and inside here I'm going to create a page.tsx, and here sfc, which is going to be chat room page. This is going to be chat room page, right? So over here yeah, chat room, this is, let us keep this as chat room detail page. Yep. And inside now here I'm going to create a div. Let's keep it as chat room detail, and I need to access the params, right? So params, which in case going to be the type of the params itself, and that is going to be the type of chat room ID is going to be the string. Okay, and I need to display the chat params dot chat room ID. Save it. Now I should able to see the chat room ID over here, right? So now we are in the chat room details page. So now we have our chat room ID over here. So now all we have to do is to go ahead and customize the chat room layout just exactly like this. That is what we are going to do next. All right, then, so now what we have to do, we have to go ahead and create the chat room like this. So what I have to do is, let me jump into the layout section. Okay, so let us jump into the layout section. Wait a second. Okay. Where it is, yep. So this is the place where we need to get the chat rooms list, right? So now what I need to do is I need to create an action, so where I can fetch the complete chat room created by the authenticated user. So right, so the initiated, so created by the initiated. So let's go ahead and write an action functions. Over here I'm going to create a new function called get chat room by authenticated user ID dot tsx. Okay, so here I'm gonna say export const get chat room by auth user ID, the authenticated user ID, the initiator. Always the authenticated user IDs are the initiated. So async callback function, open it, and this function is going to get the user ID, which is going to be the authenticated user ID. We will send it from the front, okay, from the layout. So here we are accessing the authenticated user ID, right? We will forward it over here, and that is going to be the string, right, inside, and it is going to return as a promise, and that promise, it's going to be type of, it is going to be a type of chat room from Prisma client. It is going to be, and it is going to include the necessary information about the user A, which is going to be the user, and it is going to be user B, which is going to be the user type itself. Then it is going to have the messages, which is going to be the combination of message from @Prisma client, and it is going to include the sender informations in it, which is going to be the user, right? And at last it is going to receive the array of messages, and it is going to fetch the list of chat rooms created by the user. So it is also going to be an array, or else keep it as a null, right? This is how it should be, right? Then right after here, inside here, I'm gonna bring the try and catch. If there is any error is happening, so what I need to do, I need to console.log that error, and I need to return it as a null. Otherwise, I'm going to fetch the data as of the chat rooms. So here const chat rooms equals to await db dot chatroom dot find many, open it, where here I'm going to use the or condition. Or condition is an array of condition where the user A is the user ID, right? So if the whether the authenticated user is the initiator or the receiver, I need to fetch the entire chat list of that specific user. So user B ID, which is going to be the user ID. So you need to fetch the chat rooms created by the user, whether he is an initiator or a receiver, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You need to fetch the entire chat rooms list, right? Then right after this, it's need to include the tables. User A, it's need to be true. Then it's need to be user B, that is also need to be true. Then we need to get the messages, which is should be including the sender. Include the sender, and that is also need to be true. Then right after here, I need to order it by using created at, which is in case it's going to be descending order. And right after here also, I need to say order the data by open it, which in case created it by descending order. All right, save these changes. And at the end, right after here, what I need to do is, if the chat rooms, chat, wow, spelling mistake, chat rooms, if the chat rooms dot length is equals to triple equals to 0, in that situation, I just need to say console.log no chat rooms created by the user and return the values as null. Otherwise, what I need to do, I just need to return the chat rooms. Now there is no errors over here, which is perfectly fine. Now let me get into the layout.tsx, and here I need to say const chat rooms equals to await get chat rooms by authenticated user, open it. Why it is showing like this? Okay, this is supposed to be small letter G, not a capital one. Okay, and I need to supply the user ID inside to it, and this is need to be an asynchronous function. All right, save these changes, and let me do the console.log chat rooms, chat rooms. Let me save it and let me check it out. So inconsistent query, we are getting null. We are getting inconsistent query. Why? Where or conditions, open it, user A ID is going to be user ID and user B Yep, let me get into the MongoDB database, collections, and let me check it out. The chat rooms, yes, chat room. Oh, wait a minute. We made a very big blunder mistake. So vehicle owner ID, what we are sending as a owner ID, we should not send the ID, we need to send the clerk ID. Shit. So here ID is the auto generated by the MongoDB. See, that's the reason it's showing 671B, something like that. It should be, should send the clerk ID. My bad. So I need to delete this, delete it. Okay, so now nothing is there. So let me get into the vehicles, which means I need to, okay, I think I deleted the chat rooms, right? Yes, I deleted the chat room. So let me get into here. And if I click inquire now it will be automatically navigated over here. So now if I get over here and if I refresh the data, I should see the proper ID, user A ID and user B ID. Yes, now we have the user A ID and user B ID. Okay, so yep, so now we have that. Now in the layout, where is the chat rooms then? If I refresh this, yeah, here you see, now we are getting that chat room which is created by the user. Oh my goodness. God, guys, you should be very careful, guys, when you're typing it. I'm so sorry for this trouble. Okay, so next, now we have the chat rooms now. So let me delete it, save these changes. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to create a new component over here for chat rooms list, chat rooms list, which in case it's going to get the chat rooms itself, chat rooms, and I need to supply that chat rooms to it. So let us go ahead and create that. So here I'm going to create a new folder called underscore components, and inside this underscore components I'm going to create chat rooms list.tsx, and here let me keep it as use client, and let me keep it as the RAFC. Let's say chat rooms list. And inside here, now what I need to do, I need to create an interface where it is going to get the messages and everything. So this is going to be like this: chat rooms list props, which is going to be import the chat rooms from Prisma client, import the user from Prisma client, and as well as import the message from the Prisma client, just like this. And then I need to destructure the chat rooms props, and inside this props I'm gonna get the chat rooms. Save it, and let me get over here and import it. Save it. Now we don't get that issues. Okay, so now you should be able to see that we are displaying the chat rooms over here, right? So let me get into the chat rooms list so I can able to structure the layout somehow like this. Okay, so now inside this, now what I need to do is first I need to make sure. So if you check it out over here, when it is going to the small screen, it is looks like this, but when you're coming to the big screen, it is automatically expanded. So for that particular reason, I'm going to create an state over here, which is going to be like this: import it. Then I'm gonna get the params, const params is equals to use params from next navigation. Save it. Then right after here, so I need to automatically collapse on mobile devices. So use effect and array injection, and inside this function I'm gonna say const handle resize, which in case it's going to be an callback function. So if the window dot inner width is lesser than 768 pixel, in that situation set is expanded as false. Okay, because by default we are keeping it is expanded, which means it is in the big screen. So we are changing it to false, so we need to reduce the size. So then else set is expanded to true. Right, save these changes. Then right after here I need to call this handle resize method. Then I need to add an event listener. So we need to add event listener. So here window dot add event listener, open it. I'm gonna call the event called resize. Whenever it is going to that, then do the handle resize. This is way. So why we are calling, so if you are not adding, then why I need to call this function? This is the place where we need to check the window size. In order to check the window size on component mount, whenever the component is being mounted, we need to check the what is the current screen size, then we need to perform that action, otherwise the UI will be collapsed. Then I need to clean up this code. So how I can clean up this? All I have to do is to return callback function, open it, then window dot remove event listener of resize event, then call that handle resize. So by this way we can perform that resize just like this. Whenever I'm adjusting it, it is going to resize this. Perfect. Now we have the use effect which is running up and running fine. Then for this class name, I'm going to bring the cn function, open it. So for the cn function, let me enable the word wrap so you can see it completely. All right, so now what I need to do is for the cn function, the default styles and all these things, I'm going to say transition, it should be all smoothly performed, and padding it's going to be 2, py it's going to be 3, duration it is going to be 300, then ease in out, and bg should be gray 100 out of 50 percentage. Then I need to get the flex shrink 0, and minimum height should be screen and maximum height should be screen. And on the medium devices onwards, the minimum height should be 70 VH, right? And then on the medium devices, maximum height should be 70 VH, not more than that. Then the overflow y should be auto, right? This is how the styles it should be. So save these changes. Now you should be able to see the height and everything, right? So this is how the in the medium devices. And now I need to fix the width based on is expanded. If it is expanded, in that situation width needs to be 72, otherwise width needs to be 16, right? This is how it needs to be. Okay, so now we can see we have the width which is perfectly fine. Then inside this Chatroom list, I'm going to say flexbox add components, and in for this class name, what I'm going to do is bring the cn property, open it, and I'm going to write is expanded, which in case it's going to be justify between, otherwise keep it justify center. Save it. And now inside this flexbox, I'm going to bring some styles. If it is expanded, then I need to display a paragraph tag which is going to say chats, and I need to have a very specific styles for this class name, which is going to be font semi bold chats. So I should be able to see that heading over there. For the mobile screens, I should not able to see it. Then I need to bring a button which is going to be a variant of ghost button, then size of an icon, then on click, whenever I'm clicking it, I'm going to call a callback function, then I'm going to say set is expanded to not is expanded, whatever the expanded value, keep the opposite value. Then I'm going to bring the layout dashboard icon class name, which is going to be width as 5, height as 5, text muted foreground. Save these changes, and now you should be able to see this. If I click this, it will be like this. Perfect, right? Cool. Then next what I need to do is I need to bring the UI. Next I need to bring the UL, the list of chat rooms I need to get into here. Okay, so now right after this flex box, I'm gonna create an UL tag, and for this I'm gonna say flex, it should be a column. Then flex item center, oh sorry, item should be start, gap should be 2, and margin top it's going to be 4, width of course it should be full, overflow y should be auto, and height should be full, and py it is going to be 4. And inside this I'm gonna say chat rooms and chat rooms dot length greater than 0. In that situation I need to display over here, display something, right? I need to bring the chat room map, otherwise I need to do something. This is what we need to do. So inside here I'm going to break it, then I'm going to bring the chat rooms dot map function, open it, then I can extract the chat room out of it, enter, and here I'm going to bring the link. Basically it is a next link, close it. Inside here I'm gonna bring the chat room logo, which is going to be the avatar. So let me bring the chat room logo, so just like this inside the link tag, so which is going to be the avatar, which we already did imported in our part 1 itself, installed from the part 1 itself. So please go ahead and follow this just exactly the same way what I did. Okay, then for the link I need to supply, what are the things I need to supply? I need to supply the key, which in case it's going to be the chatroom.id itself. Then I need to supply the href, which in case it's going to be slash chats and slash dollar, and then I need to supply the chatroom.id. all right, then I need to supply the class name, which is going to be a cn function itself, cn, open it, then I need to write the default slides over here, flex item center, then padding of course it's going to be 2, gap which is going to be 2, and cursor which is going to be pointer, and hover which is going to be pg gray 200, and then width of course it should be full, rounded lg, right? And then right after here, if the params dot chatroom id, if the params dot chatroom id, if it is equals to the chatroom which is loaded id, and then I need to say bg gray 200, then I need to bring the shadow as a medium, right? So then what I have to do is, if there is no chat rooms, then I need to simply say, I just need to over here, if there is no chat rooms, I just simply say a paragraph tag, no chat rooms are available. Save these changes. So now I should be able to see a chat room, right? I can see an avatar image over here, and as the same way, I need to bring the right after this avatar, I need to bring the chat room name. So here, if it is expanded, then I need to bring it, otherwise I should not display it. So I'm going to bring a span tag where I can display the chat room name, chatroom slash dot chatroom profile name. Okay, which is in case class name, it's going to be text sm, then font medium, width full, and then truncate. Save as changes. This is how it looks. All right, so now it is showing that this is the current active chat room which I have initiated to whom, anonymous KTM, because that's a guy to whom, that's a person I just initiated it, right? So now we finish with the chat rooms list. Next, what I need to do, this is the page, this is the page I need to go ahead and customize it, the chat rooms page, details page. So let me get into the, okay, so where it is, yeah, chat rooms list, chat rooms ID, get into this is the page. This page we need to go ahead and customize it. Okay, so let's get into the chat room. This is the page where we are fetching the chat room ID and we are displaying the chat room ID, right? So here now what I need to do is I need to make sure the user is authenticated. So const is equals to auth. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to make sure the user is authenticated. So const is equals to auth. I think it is already, we are already verified all these things, so we don't have to do that because the entire layout itself is checking that. So here also I don't need to do that, so let's leave it as it is. Then right after here, what I need to do is I need to render a chat client. Instead of this, I need to render a chat client, which is going to have, so if I'm inside it, I need to display all the messages. In that situation, what I need to do, I need to get the complete chat room information. Currently here, let's keep it first. Let's write the, yes, save it. So first, now what we have to do is we need to fetch the information about the chat room. So all the messages which is properly created for this chat room. So we need to do that, and then we need to pass that to our chat room client. So let's go ahead and write a function to fetch the information about this chat room. So let's go ahead and create that, and that's what we need to do next. All right then. So now let's go ahead and create a function, get into the actions. So here, now what I need to do is we need to fetch the chat room by ID. So get chat room by ID dot ts. Okay, so here I'm gonna say export const get chat room by ID, which is an asynchronous function. And inside this function, we need to supply the chat room ID, which in case it's going to be a string itself, and it is going to return a promise, a type. We need to send the type, what type of promise that we are expecting from this function. So this is going to be the chat room, just exactly the same way what we did. Chat room, user A, user B, and the messages and all those informations. Bring it from message client center and everything is okay. And inside here, now I need to bring the try and catch. And if there is any error is happening, I need to return that message. Okay. Then inside the try over here, now what I need to do is I need to fetch the single chat room which is created by that user. So const chat room is equals to await db dot chat room dot find unique, open it, where the ID is going to be chat room ID. Then I need to include, open it, user A, it's going to be true, and user B, that is also going to be true. Then I need to get the messages, which is in case it's going to include the sender informations, and that is also need to be true. And right after here, we need to order it by, I think this is not necessary because since we are fetching only one data, so that's not necessary. So next what I need to do is right after here, if there is no chat room, then I just need to say return null. Okay, and then I need to console that there is no chat room ID for that specific. Okay, otherwise return chat room. Okay, save it. And why we are getting this error? Messages should be null. Yeah, add Prisma client message chat room from there. Yeah, everything is fine. What else we are missing? Chat room find unique, user A, user B, sender, order by, chat room. Still we are getting a type error. Let's check it out. When then if you are receiving a data, that means there is no issues. Let's go ahead and check it out over here. This is the place where we are fetching it, right? And let me keep this page as an async, and let me get that data. So const chat room is equals to await get chat room by id, import it, open it, then supply the params dot chat room id. So save this changes. Okay, so now what I have to do over here, console.log, open it, chat room, save it. Let me scroll all the way to the bottom. Yep, we are getting that chat room information. That is what we needed. But why we are getting the type error over there? Then we can simply ignore it. It's just a type error. So at ts ignore. Yes, now it will be fine. Okay, so we are getting the chat room information. So save it. If not chat room, then we just need to redirect the user from next navigation to /chats. That's it. We just need to push the user to the chats. All right. So now inside this division, instead of this, I'm going to create a chat client where I can display the chat room informations. Chat room. Okay, so let me go ahead, and inside here I'm going to create a new folder called _components, and inside the underscore components I'm going to create a new file called client.tsx, and I'm going to say use client rafc chat client, and it is going to have a props interface. Okay, so this is going to exactly the same way what we did inside our this function, just exactly the same way. You need to create the interface just like that. Then let's go ahead and import these statements, import it. So the type error is all about the user. It's coming from there. It is supposed to come from at Prisma client. That is why the type error. My bad. See, initially it's showing Clerk Next.js server. It should come from Prisma client. My bad. Then chat client props. Make sure this is from the chat room. Save it. And here let's import it. Yep, now it is gone, and I should be able to see the chat client. So now let's go ahead and start write the styles for it. So here let's create class name. Okay, so so on the minimum mobile devices, minimum height is going to be screen, maximum height is going to be the screen height, and on medium devices the minimum height it's going to be 70 VH. Then on the medium devices, maximum height it's going to be 70 VH, right? Then it's going to be flex column, justify, between, overflow, y, it should be auto. So save these changes, right? So now instead of this chat client, oh my god, it's raining now again. So this is the place where I need to bring the chat head. So if you check it out over here, so if I get into the chats, I should be able to see this back option, and I need to bring the owner, to whom I'm sending this message. So I need to bring that. So that is going to be the chat head, right? So what I need to do is I'm going to create a flex box. Okay, so for this I'm going to say justify between and bg gray 100 as 50/50. Okay, then padding, of course, it's going to be 2, and here I'm going to bring the link from next link where I can take the user to back to chats itself, /chats, and inside here I'm going to bring the button from add components UI button. Okay, then what I need to do is variant, which is going to be ghost variant, and for the size, which is going to be the icon size, and inside here I need to bring the chevron left icon, which is going to be class name, width of course 4, height of course 4, right? Save these changes. Now I should able to see the back option, and that if I click this, it is going to take the user to the back, where I can able to see the stats page, where I need to display the what is that the image, right? If I click this, that is going to take the user to this page, right? Then inside after this link, this is the place where I need to bring that icon, which exactly how we displayed over here. So what I'm going to do is get into, where is the chat list? Yeah, chat list. This is what we need to do. So I'm gonna copy all these things. Don't worry about this is expanded on all. I'm gonna just cut it out. Otherwise I'm gonna just copy this, copy it. Let me get back over here, and here I'm going to create the flexbox class name, item center, and then gap, which is going to be 2, and paste it. And let us import all these things: avatar, add components avatar, and add components avatar, add components avatar. Yep. Then right after here, I'm going to bring a paragraph tag where it is going to display the chat room. Right after here, save this. This is how, see, this is how it should look like. All right. Then next, what I need to do is, this is the place where we need to bring the message section, right? So where is the chat client? This is the where flexbox. Right after here, we need to bring the message section. Then we need to bring the input section, right? So let's go ahead and bring the input section now. So div, which is going to be class name, flex item center, and space x, it's going to be 2, space x, it's going to be 2. Okay, and border should be we need to have a border top, right? Then what I need to do, I need to have some paddings. Then inside here I need to bring the input from add components UI / enter, and here I'm gonna bring the by default it is a type as a text, then placeholder, which is going to be type a message, then value, which is going to be an array. So what I need to do, not an array, it's a state value. So here I'm gonna say use state snippet, and here it is going to be new message, which is going to be a string, and this needs to be imported properly. Yes, and here I need to supply the new message, right? Then right after, from there, what I need to do, I need to bring on change. Whenever there is a changes is happening, I need to get that event, which is going to be event. Then I need to set that to the new message, set new message to the e.target.value, right? So then right after here, and on key press, okay, on key press, that's on the, whenever I'm clicking that, I'm going to say handle key press. So whenever there is a changes happening, we're going to set it, and when I click enter, it is going to send the message. So we need to send the message whenever the user clicks it. So we need to call this, then class name, which is going to be flex grow. It should grow completely. Then padding should be 2, and it should have some border. Then it should be rounded medium, right? So I'm going to create this function. Let me scroll all the way to the top. So right after here, const handle handle key press, that's a function that we have to create. Now the error will be gone, And right after this, what I need to do, I need to bring a button. So button, and that button it's going to handle on click. Okay, on click. I need to call handle send message. So let me create const handle send message as a callback function. Okay, so that's a function needs to be created over here. And let's say variant it's going to be, let's keep it as ghost and let's check it out how it's looking. Size, which is going to be icon, and inside this button what I need to do, I need to simply bring this icon from Lucid React Send, save it, and this is how it looks. Okay, perfect. All right, so then what I need to do is, now we have these things. Okay, so now whenever I press the handle key press this function, it is going to get that event, which is going to be react dot keyboard event. All right, inside here I'm just going to say if the event dot key is equals to enter, then I need to call this function handle send message, right? And inside this function, next what I need to do, so this function is going to be an asynchronous function where we are going to call the API to save the messages and everything. And but for the time being, I'm just going to console.log send message, console.log whatever that I do have in the new message, I'm going to print it. Let's check it out whether we are getting the input values and everything. Console here, hi there, and if I press enter, see, we are getting that message. Perfect. Good. So now we are getting that message perfectly fine. All right. Okay, so next what we need to do is we need to go ahead and create the API chats messages. So let's go ahead and create that the place where we can create a new chat. API slash chatroom and the messages. Okay, so inside now let me close all the things except these, close others, keep it this one alone, collapse everything, get into the app, get into the API, get into the chats, and here I'm going to create a new chat room ID, and inside this chat room ID I'm going to create a new file call, sorry, new route, one more route inside in it, which is going to be messages, and inside this messages I'm going to create a new file called route.ts. make sure that is being created inside this route.messages. Okay, so here export const post is equals to asynchronous. Okay, and inside here I'm going to get the request and I'm going to get the parameters of the chat room. So make sure this chat room ID should matches this chat room ID. Please make sure that. Then inside here I'm going to bring the try and catch, and whenever there is an error, so I'm just going to do the console.log. Okay, get that next response. All right, then right after here we need to get the authenticated user. So get the authenticated user. If not, we need to send the error, he is not authenticated, to send the message, right? Then right after here we need to extract the body informations. Okay, extract the body informations. So from the client what we are going to send is we are going to send the content of the message. Okay, and the receiver, it's always going to be the user. We keep it in that mind. So I'm gonna extract the content and the receiver ID from the body. We're going to extract the message content and the receiver ID, right? So then we need to validate the required fields. So if there is a chat room ID and the content or any other receiver ID, if any one of these things are missing, we just need to send missing required fields, right? We need to send these informations, missing these required fields. Otherwise, what I need to do is I need to find the chat room first. So if the chat room exists only, we need to go ahead and send the message. So find the chat room, make sure that import the chat room, find unique by using the chat room ID. Then if the chat room not exist, we need to return the message as if chat room is not exist, right? These are all the conditions that we are verifying before sending a new message. Now I need to create a new message. So const new message is equals to await db dot message dot create, open it, and here data, then open it, chatroom id, which in case it's going to be params dot chatroom id itself, then content, which is going to be the content itself, then sender id, the user who authenticated user id, and the receiver id is the user who receiving it, so receiver id. Then next, what I need to do, save it. Okay, so update the chat rooms, updated at field so we need to update the chat rooms updated field when the chat room it's been lastly updated. When the chat room it's been lastly updated, so I can get the updated field and I can display it over here. So when it is being updated, last update, right? So I can display the last updated informations over here. All right, so save it. Then I need to at the end I need to return this message to the front, the new message which it's been created. And every time whenever a new message it's been created, we need to send a notification to whom? To the user who created the receiver. We need to send a new notification to the user. So in order to do that, let's get over here. Somewhere inside we might use the notification. Yes, I'm going to copy this and get back over here. Then I'm going to paste it, right? So instead of this message, so message it's going to be, what is that? Let me delete this. A new message from dollar the authenticated user, right? So we need to send the user informations. So what we can do is we can fetch that user. So const user auth user is equals to await db dot user dot find unique, open it, where clerk id it's going to be user id, right? So now here from I need to supply auth user dot name, auth user dot name, new message from this auth user dot name. Then okay, so user id, this is going to be the and then for what vehicle id, so this is going to be the chat room id. So vehicle id is going to be the chat room id. So here I'm gonna say params dot chatroom id, params dot chatroom id, because using this we can push the user to that specific route. And type, we can say type it's going to be chatroom chat. Okay, so yep, we don't need this status, so we can keep the status as waiting for the response. Okay, this is how. And user id it's going to be not the admin id, the user who authenticated, the authenticated user id. And yes, this is what we need to keep. This is the notification. So save these changes. So now let's check this out whether it is working perfectly or not. I'm not quite sure. whether it is going to work or not. So let me get into the client. So right after here, so not if not new message, if not new message dot trim, then I just need to simply return, right? Otherwise I'm going to bring the try and catch. If there is any error is happening, all I have to do simply console.log that there is an error, and then I'm just going to say toast open it, error, description, description, try again later, something like this. That's the error that we need to send the user. Okay, otherwise, so next what I need to do, whether there is an error is happening or not, finally always we need to make the new message, set new message as always empty. Okay, and inside this try block I need to get the API. So const response is equals to await axios dot post, open it, then bring slash API slash chats, right, chats. Then we need to supply the chatroom ID, dollar chatroom ID, chatroom dot ID, then slash messages. Yes, oh my bad, spelling mistake is there, messages. Okay, so I need to make sure that is the exact thing that we need to keep it over here, messages. All right, so right after here I need to send the data. What are the data that we need to send? We need to send the content. First I need to send the message content. So message content is equals to the new message data what we have, then the receiver ID, which is going to be in the chat room. The user B is the receiver, so user B ID, he is going to be the receiver, right after here. Then I'm just going to say console.log, open it, message sent, let's say response dot data. Okay, then I need to clear the input. I think I already did that. Then I just need to do router. I need to get the router instance as well as const router is equals to use router from next navigation. I just need to say router dot refresh. Okay, anyways, set new message is equals to empty. So let's check it out. Inspect the elements, get the network. All right, so here I'm just say hi there, I need much more information about this vehicle or something. Hit the enter. All right, so we are getting the message content, hi there, and it is going to be the receiver ID. So we got the message and the input is being cleared. And let me get into the here and let me refresh the data. Let's check it out and the message. Now we should have a new message. Here we go. See, chatroom ID, user ID, and this is going to be the receiver ID. And hi there, I need to much more information about this vehicle, and delivered it is false, or read is false. Okay, so we having the necessary informations in our hand, right? So next all I have to do is to go ahead and bring this message bubble, and that is what we are going to do next. All right, then, so now what we have to do is we have to bring this message bubble just like this. So let's go ahead and do that now. This is the place where we need to bring that message bubble, right? So for this, what I'm going to do is, so let's go ahead. For that, I'm going to create a div which is going to have a class name, and it should grow completely in this area. Flex should grow, then overflow y should be automatic, and space y it's going to be 4, and padding py it's going to be 4, and px it's going to be 2, right? Then right after here, if the chat room does consist this message, and if it does have the map, sorry, the map open the map function, then I'm going to extract the message out of it, msg message out of. Okay, then I'm going to bring the message bubble, which in case we don't have it yet. So what I have to do is, let me get into the components folder, and I'm going to create a message bubble.tsx and make sure that's a client component, then rafc, and let me change this to message bubble. Right, so save these changes and let me import this, import it, and for this I'm going to supply the key, which is in case it's going to be message.id itself. That's the key. So save it, and now you should be able to see the message bubble. The reason is because we do have one specific message in our data component, right, for this particular chat room. Right, so here for this now message bubble, so let us create the interface. What are the things that is necessary for it? So the necessary props for it: interface message bubble props, open it, and it needs the message, whatever the message it is, it should be a message. So I'm going to get the message, complete message from the Prisma client, at Prisma client. Then is sent, who sent, if he is the sender or a receiver, we need to figure it out. So we're going to create this state. If that particular message is sent by the authenticated user, then he's the sender, right? So, and then I'm going to create one more, which is going to be the type of user at Prisma client, then receiver, which is going to be the user from at Prisma client itself. So save these changes. So let's go ahead and destructure all these things from message bubble props. And from here, what are the things that I need to get? We need to get the message, then we need to get is sent, then we need to get sender, then we need to get the receiver. So all these things. So let me get back to our client, and here we need to send it properly. So we had the key, then we need to send the message, complete message itself, msg. Then I need to send is sent. Is sent is equals to, if the message msg dot sender id, if the msg dot sender id, if it is equals to what is that? So we need to get the authenticated user id, right? So yep, so let's get that. So const use auth, use the use auth. From there I'm gonna get the user id. If it is say so, then he is the sender. If it is equals to, then it is if the message dot sender id, and if it is equals to user id, then the is sent value should be true. It's because I'm the authenticated user. So as an authenticated user, I am the person who always sending the message, and the user B is the receiver, right? So then right after here, I'm going to sender is equals to chatroom dot user A. He is the sender, and receiver chatroom dot user B. He is the receiver. So save these changes, all these things. All right. So let me get back into the message over here, bubble over here. Now in the message bubble section, so first I need to figure it out what user I'm gonna render inside in it. So const user is equals to is sent. If it is sent, if sent is true, then I need to render the sender data over here. Otherwise, I need to bring the receiver data in the user instance, so I can display the message bubble according to that specific user, right? So right after here, then I'm going to say class name, open it, cn, open it. I'm going to bring the flux, okay? Otherwise, then right after here is sent. If it is sent, then it should be justify end. Otherwise, it should be on the justify starting point. Save it. Now you should see, because I am the sender, so it is on the justify at the end. If it is receiver, it will becomes at the over here, right? So now we have the message bubble. Then instead of this, let's create a division. Class name, flux, item start, and gap 2.5. Then here I need to bring the avatar. So let's bring the avatar, so we can copy and paste the avatar. because everywhere we are using the same format only from add components avatar. All right, so save these changes. Now you should see the avatar over there. Perfect. Then right after the avatar section, I'm going to create a div, or moreover a flexbox class name, which in case it's going to be flex column, and width the full, and item should be on the starting point. Then justify the content should be also on the starting point. Maximum width, which in case it's going to be, what is this maximum width for this? 320 pixels. Yes, that is what we needed. XS. Then leading 1.5. So leading one. Line height. Okay, so we don't have a very specific line height over here. Okay, let's keep this leading 3, and then padding, which is going to be 4, and then border gray, which is going to be gray 200. All right, then wait a minute, let me enable the word wrap. Okay, so border gray, and next what I need to do is BG should be gray 100, and rounded it should be rounded EXL. See, border radius, which is going to have border starting end radius and the ending end radius. That's the reason we are using rounded EXL, which means I need to have the bubble at the end, or not over here, only at the end. Okay, so that's the reason we are going to use this EXL. Then rounded ES XL as well as. See, now ending start radius, so border end start radius should be exactly the same as, so except this particular point, I need to reduce all the corners except that one. So that is what we are doing over here. Then yep, save these changes. Now you can see a bubble over there. Now inside this flux box, I'm gonna bring the message info, which in case, let's bring the flux box, let's say class name, and space X, it's going to be 2, and so space X reverse. Okay, this is a specified attribute which we are using for over here. So see, for this particular property from at.var, so we is for specifying a very specific directory, we are using this RTL property over here, right? So then, because if it is in a reverse direction, in that situation it needs to reverse the space X, so the space X needs to be alternatively work, so that's the reason we are using it. Okay, so span tag, then right after here I'm going to bring class name text sm, then font semi bold, then text gray should be 900, then save these changes, and inside here I need to bring the user.name. So that's how it looks. Then right after that, I'm gonna bring the message content of this. Right after here, I'm gonna bring a message content, create a paragraph tag. Let's display the message dot content, so I should be able to see the message content over there. Then for this paragraph tag, text should be sm, then font should be normal, then py it's going to be 2.5, then text gray should be 900. Save these changes. So that's how it looks. All right, so right after that specific paragraph, so I need to bring the message status, right? So I need to bring the message status. So for the time being, let's bring the flexbox in it, and let's say class gap, which is going to be 2. Then right inside here, I'm going to bring a span tag, which is going to say class name text sm, then font normal, then text should be gray 500. All right, and inside here I'm going to bring the exact time when it has been the message it's been sent, new date, so message dot created at, when it has been created at, then we need to convert it into a to local date string. Then I'm going to bring the language, then right after here I'm going to write a time style, how the time style should looks like. It should looks like the short type, right? Short. So save these changes. Okay, we are getting an error. Okay, so it should be converted into two time string, not date string, because we are trying to print the time, not a date. So save it. And now you can see when that particular message it's been sent. So we are getting that message, right? So let's get back. Let me check it out. So vehicles, let me copy this ID and I think this, how, let me get into the vehicles. For this vehicles only we are checking it, right? Yep, for this only we are checking it. So okay, so what I need to do is I need to authenticate as different user. Let me log in as a different user. Because we need to check the message bubble, right? So how the message bubbles it's working and everything. So let me get in the dashboard, figure out which vehicle it's been created by this user. All right, so this is the vehicle KTM. That's the vehicle which is created by that user. So let me get into the vehicles. Contact, not here. Here, let me get into here. Okay, so give me a minute. Let me sign out because I don't know what vehicle is created by that specific user. Continue. Vehicles. All right, so this specific vehicle is created by this user. So let me log out again. So don't worry. So this is, once we deployed it, we can figure it out how it is working and all these things. So here, let me get into the vehicles. And if I click this, and if I click inquire now, it is going to create a new chat room for that. Yes, now I can see it is creating a new chat room. And now if I simply say hi there, hit the enter, and a new message is sent and it's displayed over here. And now if I click log out, and if I click login, can click continue with Gmail, and if I click this email address, click the vehicles. Okay, so I need to get into the chat room, right? So let's make sure whether the chat room is being created or not. So if I click the chat room, so we should able to see the newly created chat room. Yes, I think so. Newly created chat room, it's created now. So all I have to do is to click the dashboard, get into the chats, and I can see if there is anyone. So here we have a new chat. So we need to display that particular message. And here, see, and it's showing hi there. All right. So I think there is a small confusion over here because this user information, see, he's the authenticated user. He's supposed to be a sender, right? I think I messed up over here. So try add not send. Yep, there we go. So now it's displaying. Okay, so it should work as an exact opposite way. So that is the thing, that's the issue. And now if I check it out over here, if I say hello there, so if I hit the enter, and there we go. See, now we're having the proper way, sender and the receiver, right? So let me check it out. So now if I log out, And if I get back again into click over here, and if I click again over here, see, I'm getting a new message notification over here, a new message from Vetrivel Ravi. See, I'm getting that new notification, so the user can get into dashboard. He can click the chats and he can see over here. But here we need to bring that the badge where I can display the count and everything. If I click this, I can able to see. Yep. So again here also it is, oh my god, it's quite confusing because I'm still using the same email address everywhere. So don't know what is happening right now. This is supposed to be on the right side, right? Hello there, this is sent by the specific user. Okay, I think then this logic is correct only. This is how it is supposed to look. Okay, so we messed up somewhere, so we will figure it out later. Okay, so somehow it is working, but the chat room user, the way where we are sending, where the way how we are figuring it out over here, this is the place where we this problem. All right, so it took me a long time to figure it out what's the exact issue we made is because so we haven't checking who's the sender and who's the receiver. We are directly sending the sender of user A and user B. So it is always fixing a specific user as an authenticated user as a sender, right? So that's where we are missing the logic. So like what I have to do is, so right, I need to customize this. So instead of directly rendering it, so I'm gonna cut this out, open it as a function, right? So here I'm going to say const is sent by authenticated. So it's going to authenticated user equals to, so message dot sender id should be equals to the user id, the authenticated user, right? Then right after here what I'm going to do is I need to get the sender and the receiver. So const sender is equals to message dot sender id. If the message dot sender id is equals to the chat room dot user a dot clerk id. So the always user a is the authenticated user, right? So then if that says so, then send the user as chatroom dot, if the message dot sender id is equals to chatroom dot user a dot clerk id, then send the user a, otherwise send the chatroom dot user b, right? So right after here I'm going to send the receiver. So const receiver is equals to, if the message dot sender id, if it is not equals to chatroom dot user a dot clerk id, then send the chatroom dot user b, otherwise send the chatroom dot user a, like this. Okay, so next what I need to do is I need to create a return function where I can render this, but instead of is sent, I'm gonna send is sent by authenticated user. Instead of user a, I'm gonna send the sender instance, and instead of user b, I'm gonna send the receiver instance. So save these changes, and now everything will be working perfectly. So he is the one who created the chat room and sent the message. He is the receiver right now, and I'm the authenticated user with this specific account, so I'm the sender right now, so it will work perfectly. So now I'm going to say how are you doing, and if I hit the enter, right, so I'm getting the message over here. And now if I hit the get log out from here, and let me get into the login and get into that specific account, and if I get into the dashboard, and if I get into the chats, and there I need to get into this specific vehicle, see, I'm getting the, now he is the receiver, he is the sender, right? Because I'm the one who is authenticated. So now it is working perfectly how it's supposed to be. See, I'm getting this new message over here. So I can say, like, I can display this. Now I can reply to this message how I wanted it, right? So we successfully integrated the chat room, right? So now what we have to do is, so basically here I need to display, always display the unreaded message counts, how many message it's been unreaded. So in order to do that, let's get into the chat list, chat rooms list, right? So this is the place where we are displaying the span of this. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out and I'm going to bring the flex box, then I'm going to render it, then I'm going to say space x, which is going to be, okay, so I think it should be justify between, and it should be with this full. Then save this, and here I'm going to bring a badge from add components UI React. For the time being, I'm going to display it as 2. See, this is how it looks. But instead of 2, what I'm going to do is I'm going to display in the chat room dot messages All right, so now what we have to do is, so we need to do some filtering options over here. If the messages dot filter, so let me filter the data, open it, then let me extract the message out of it. So first, what I need to do is I need to make sure that read status should be true. If it is true, then in this case, then what it means, the user readed that message. If it is false, then the user doesn't read that message. So not message dot read. And I need to make sure I need to omit this sender message because I need to display the count of the receiver messages alone. So and it should say message dot sender id should not be equals to the user id, which in case we need to fetch the user id. So I'm going to get the authenticated user id is equals to use auth, then I can get that user id. Then what I need to do, I need to display the length. So now if I save this, it is going to refresh. Yep, and it is going to display the message count 3. So now what I have to do is whenever I open the chat room, I need to update all the particular messages as to the, turn on all the messages to the of the read status to true. So I can ignore this. So what I have to do is, currently all the message status of see, if you check it out over here, all the read status over here is false, right? But once I open the chat room, I need to set that particular chat room messages read status to true, so I will not display the badge over here. So in that situation, what did I did? Okay, so I just cut it out, then open it, then chat room dot messages dot we need to display this only if that specific condition length is greater than 0. So I'm going to copy this. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that condition length, if it is greater than 0, then only I need to render this. So I'm going to bring this out inside here, save these changes, right? All right, so this is going to be the condition. So yep, this is, now we can see the 0, the length of that message is not showing, the badge is not showing, it is showing the badge count only for this, because currently all these status of this particular message is true. So now what I have to do is, whenever I'm opening that chat room list, so this is the place, and where that particular chat room details page, chat room id, this is the page, this is chat page, because this is the chat page. Get into the chat room, this is the page where we are, okay, inside the chat client. inside the chat client, right? This is the place where we are displaying all these things, right? So over here I need to create an API, so I need to call that API and to change all these read status to true, right? So that is what we need to do now. All right, so now what we have to do is let's go ahead and create a route. So I just checked out with the logged out that particular account, and then I checked out that. Now the count and everything is showing perfectly because these are all the messages I sent and these are all the messages the receiver sent, right? So the count, it's one messages. So the count, everything is working perfectly. Now all I have to do is to get into the app API folder and chatroom ID. Okay, so for the messages, right? So for the messages, this is the place for this messages. I already do have the route where I can able to create the post messages, right? So here now what I have to do is I need to mark the messages, right? So inside the same chatroom ID, I'm going to create a new folder called read, and I'm going to create a new file route.ts. Okay, so here I'm going to create a new export patch method and asynchronous callback function. Open it. All right, and for that function I'm going to call the request. So I'm going to get it from here, copy this, and I'm going to paste it inside over here. Then right after here I'm going to bring the try and catch. Then I'm going to bring all the way to the bottom, copy this, and let me paste it over here and import the next response. Save these changes. Let me get into here. I need to get the authenticated user. Then I don't need to get the body and all these things. Let me get this, paste it, import this. Then what I need to do, I need to make sure that chatroom this exists. If not chatroom ID, I need to return the missing field. So here I don't need the rest of the fields. Then I need to make sure the chatroom is already exists. Copy this. Okay, so let's bring the DB so we can make sure now the chat room is already exist. If the chat room is already did exist, then next I need to update all unread messages where the authenticated user is the receiver, right? So what I'm going to do is, so const, so we need to be very careful. So update all the unread messages where the authenticated user is the receiver. So please very careful, receiver. Authenticated user is the receiver. So const update messages is equals to await db dot message dot update many, open the function, open the bracket, where now we need to give the chatroom ID. So chatroom ID is going to be from the params. I can access the chatroom ID params.chatroom ID. Then I need to give the receiver ID, which in case it's going to be the authenticated user. Then I need to make sure the read message should be false. Only if it is false, then I need to update it to true, right? Then comma, I need to supply the data. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark this status as true, right? So save this changes, right? And at the end, all I have to do is to return the updated status as the message. So I'm going to bring that and I'm going to display it over here. So which is going to be updated messages. Save these changes. All right. So I need to call this API now, right? So where I can call this API. So we need to call this API inside the, so this is the chatroom list, and this is the page where the chatroom data is being fetched and it is rendering inside, and it's loading the chat client, and we can have the chatroom ID from the chatroom data itself. So inside the chat client, here we are having a function to send a message. Just like the same way, we need to have a function to mark all the messages as a readed one. So for this API, I'm gonna, instead of empty read, I'm gonna change this as mark as read. Okay, that's the API name. I'm gonna keep it for that. All right, I think that would be perfect for that. All right, so now here, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a function for handling that. So const mark all message as read is equals to, I'm going to use a use callback hook in order to memorize this function. So asynchronous function, which in case it's going to be a callback function, and it is going to have an array of dependency injections inside this function. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if not chatroom dot id. If it doesn't have that, then I just need to return it, right? Otherwise, what I have to do, I just need to open the try and catch, open it. If there is any error is happening, I'm just going to simply do the console log. Otherwise, I'm gonna await axios dot patch, open it, slash API slash chats slash, we need to get the chat room. So let's say chatroom dot id. Then I need to get into the this folder name, copy this and paste it over here, mark all as read, right? So yep, that would be fine. So yep, mark as read, and let me save this. And we need to, when this needs to change, whenever the chatroom dot id is different, this needs to refresh again, and I need to call this inside the use effect, open it, and array injection, and inside here, if the chatroom dot id is exist, then mark all messages as readed one, and then whenever the chatroom dot id gets changed, refresh it. I'm gonna call whenever there's a changes on this use callback hook function, that from this use callback hook, just re-render it. Now let me, before saving it, let me open the network and let me check whether it is working perfectly fine or not. If I save this, it is calling mark all as read and it's still pending. Yep. Okay, so there the API, it is triggered successfully, right? API, it's triggered successfully. If I refresh this, API is triggered successfully, and you can see now it is not showing. But what I need to do is every time whenever there is some changes is happening, so finally, whether it is happening or not, I just need to refresh it, router dot refresh those changes. So save it. I think this would be fine now. So let me check it out for the time being. So what is your requirements or something? Okay, so I'm just sending this message. Okay, so it is not updating the count. Perfect. And let me log out from here. So now that for that particular, I need to have a notification for this user. So when I logged in with this particular account, because I did have a new message from that specific chat, right? See, now I have one unreaded message. If I open this and okay, so we have one readed message, and if I send a new message, nothing. If I hit the enter, okay, still this is not getting updated. I wonder why. So only if I refresh this, okay, still I did have an, if I check this inspect elements network, if I refresh this, we are getting the mark, it's getting us true. updated 0 messages. mm, all right, the problem is occurring from here. So because always updating only the receiver ID, so we don't need to update only the receiver ID. So this is the issue. So remove this. So I just commented it, remove this from the API. So then it is working. See, now I just logged in over here. So I'm sending a message. Yes, please tell me, right? And it is going to update the with the new message. Yes, we got the new message over here, right? And we are not getting the count. And if I log out from here, sign out, and if I get into the login, and if I get into the continue with the Google, and if I logged in over here, and let me get into the dashboard, and let me get into the chats, and I should be able to see a new message, because for that particular chat room I did have a new message. So if I open it, and now you can see once the user opened it, I read it this message. So then this particular the badge number, it's instantly gone, right? So we successfully finished integrating the chat room, and the chat is completely working. Only thing that we need to fix this particular chat UI. So let's go ahead and fix the landing chat UI. So what I have to do is, so let me jump into the chat. So for the chat, this is the page currently it is being displaying, right? So for this, we need to update the landing page. So what we can do is, so for this, I'm going to say class name, which is going to be a relative position. Okay. Then what I need to do is, for this, minimum height, which is going to be screen, and from the medium devices minimum height, it's going to be the customized width, sorry, customized height, which is going to be 70 VH, and the medium device maximum height, which is going to be the same as 70 VH. Then I just need to say flex item center, justify everything in the center. And then inside here, instead of this chat room page, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring an image from next image, bring the image component, and I'm going to bring the source var, which is going to be slash pattern.png slash pattern.png alternative, which is going to be bg pattern. Then I'm going to bring the layout, which is going to fill. Then I'm going to make sure the class name, which is going to be object cover, and width, of course it should be full, height, of course it should be full. Then it should be the priority. So open it, opacity, it's going to be 5. Save these changes, and yep, now I should be able to see that on the chat png image. So right after here, then I'm going to bring an absolute text class name. I'm just going to say absolute text, which is going to be LG, and text gray, which is going to be 500. Then inside here, I'm going to say select a chat room to start a conversation, right? Save it. Perfect. Now it is going to display select a chat room to start a conversation. That is what we needed, and it is been displaying. And when I open this, so here you can see the new message, it's not snapping properly at the end, right? So what to fix this, what we have to do is, let me get into the chat client, right? So in order to fix this issue, what we can do is, so we can create an empty reference of scroll reference where it can tag to that, pinned to that particular reference. So what I can do is, I'm just going to create chat rooms expanded. This is chat rooms list. Where is the chat client? Yes, here it is. This is the place where we are rendering the messages, right? So right after the messages, what I need to do is I need to create an empty div. So right after here, I'm going to create a div with the reference as, open it as an, what to say, message end reference. message end reference. So this is the reference that we are planning to create, right? So now I need to create a reference. So let me scroll all the way to the top. So what I need to do is I need to create as a new reference. So right after here, I'm going to create a reference. So const message end reference is equals to use reference hook, open it, and by default it is going to be null, and it is going to be an html div element, or it can be null. Okay, that's how it should be. Then I'm going to create a custom use effect function to trigger the scroll to the bottom for that particular thing. So I'm going to create a use effect hook, open it, a callback function, and an array injection, and inside here, so what I'm going to do is if the message.endReference.current, if it does exist, then I just need to bring the scroll into view, call this function, and I'm going to enable the behavior which is going to be smooth. All right, then when this need to be accessed, whenever there is a chat room, there is changes on the new messages. So save it, and you can see it is automatically adjusted that scroll view, right? So if I create a new message over here, for instance, how are you doing, and if I hit enter, and it is going to send the message, and it is automatically bring that scroll view properly to that there to, you can see that. I hope you understand so what I'm saying here, right? So the scroll view is automatically adjusted on the chat screen. So we successfully integrated the fully functional chat screen, including the new notifications options and everything, right? All right, so let's go ahead and fix the contact now. All right, then, so now what we have to do is when I click this contact, so it is going to show the UI, right? So first name, last name, email address, and the message, right? So we need to save this information into our database. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the schema. So I'm going to create one more model, which is going to be model.contact, open it, and let me bring the same ID. Okay, so what are the field that we have? So we need to get the first name, which in case it's going to be the string itself, and we're going to have the last name, that is also going to be the string itself. Then we need to have the message, which is going to be the string itself, right? Then at last we need to have the created at and updated at, all these fields, right? So let me open and let me stop the server, clear npx prisma generate, then npx prisma db push, hit the enter, save it. Yep, now the contact has been updated. So you can copy these changes from the gist file which I given in the description below. All you have to do is to open it and locate the Prisma schema, and you can copy and paste it. So if you check the contact, yeah, see, this is the thing. Just you have to copy and paste this contact, and it will work perfectly. And run this command npx prisma generate and db push. All right, so this is perfectly fine. And now all I have to do is to get into the contact form where it is. Let me app API. Okay, so here, so I need to first I need to fix this form where I can collect the all these details and everything. So in order to do that, let's get into the route, and let me get into the page.tsx, and let me get into the contact line. So this is the place where we are simply displaying all these form inputs and all these things. All right, so in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna create a form schema just for creating this contact information. So what I'm going to do is, so I need to import the necessary stuffs. So let me import from Zod. Let us import the object z object from the Zod. Then I need to import the Zod resolver from at hook resolvers Zod. Let me import that one, right? Then I need to import the use hook use form from React hook form. All right, so now I need to create a schema, contact schema. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the contact schema. just like this. Create the contact schema, z object with the z string. Minimum first name is request, and make sure the first name, last name. I think I missed the email field in the schema. Yep, I missed the email field. Email, which is going to be string, then npx prisma generate, npx db push. Yep, now the changes, it's been updated. Let me get over here. So these are the fields necessary, so make sure all these fields, first name, last name, email, and message. First name, last name, email, and message. So now we do have that. Okay, so next inside over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say const form is equals to use form, open it and open the object. Then I'm going to supply the resolver, which is going to use the Zord resolver, which in case it's going to use the like the contact schema, and this use form should be the type. We need to supply the type, so I'm going to use z.infer, which in case it's going to be the type of the contact schema itself, right? This is how it needs to be done. So save these changes, and right after here const on submit. Whenever the form has been submit, this is the data that will be triggered, and I'm going to get the data, and the data is going to be the type of z.infer z.infer, yep, type of contact schema. Okay, then inside here I'm just going to say console.log data. Okay, then I'm going to get the state const from the form dot form state. From the form state, I'm going to get the states is submitting and is invalid, is valid, is valid. These are the form states I need to get. So let me hide the divisions which is not necessary. Hide this one and hide this division, and hide this division as well as, and hide this one as well as. So I think this division, entire division itself. Now inside this form, this is the form that we need to replace, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna literally comment this entire stuff. Okay, all right. So yep, I think that is the necessary stuff that we need to do. This is not necessary, so so for the time being I'm just commenting it. All right, so if I comment it, okay, I need to run the server npm run dev, so it is going to refresh. Please wait until it's refreshed successfully. Okay, so we are getting an issue. What is that? Which is a very big one. Come on, what is that? Stroke width. Okay, so we are getting a warning from a span tag. All right, so that's fine. So right after here, next what I need to do is I'm going to bring the form, which is coming from where add components UI. Make sure it is coming from add components UI form. All right, so inside this form, I'm going to destructure all the form objects which we have created. Now inside this form, I'm going to create the form, which in case it's not going to have any specific actions. Then for this on submit, I'm going to handle form dot handle submit, open it and call the on submit method, right? That's the method needs to be called. And for this class name space y, which is going to be 4, right? So inside this form, I'm going to create a div which is going to have a class name, which is going to be flex column, and medium devices onwards flex row, and minus x mx, it's going to be 2, and medium space, it's going to space x, it's going to be 4 division. So here first I need to bring the first name, so I'm going to bring the form field from add components UI. Then inside here I'm going to bring the control, which is going to be the form dot control, Then I'm going to bring the name, which is going to be the first name. Then I'm going to bring the render field, render, which is going to be have a callback rendering function, and I'm going to bring the parameter as a field parameter in it. Then inside here, I'm going to bring the input from add components UI input, render it. Okay, so for this, I'm going to bring the placeholder, which is going to be John, and I'm going to destructure all the field. Then I'm going to bring the class name, which is going to be saves changes, and let's see how it looks. Okay, so it is looking fine. That's how we wanted. Otherwise, what we can do is wait a minute. For the input, what we can do is we can form field, this is the form field, how it is being displayed, right? So okay, so form, wait a minute, so let's update some changes on the UI. So this is how it should looks. Okay, and instead of this, cut it out. So I'm gonna create a div, and I'm gonna name this as flex 1. Then px, it's going to be 2, and enter. And here I'm going to bring it, then write form field. Let me open Shadcn and let me get the form. Let me check it out. Yep, so what I have to do is form field, render it, and here I'm gonna cut it out. I'm going to get the form item. So I'm gonna get the form item, close this. Then I'm gonna get the form label, which is going to be the first name. Then I'm gonna bring that input field inside the form control, put it inside over here, form control. Then right after this form control, I need to bring the form message. Whatever the error it is, I need to display that error. So let me check it out how this it's looking like. All right, so for the form label, what are the styles that we need to do? So I'm going to bring the class name, and I'm going to display this exact style over here, this one, right? So now this is the thing. And for the input tag, we are going to have a very specific style, right? So I'm going to copy and paste that over here, class name, okay, so we already do have a class name over here, so that's what I'm looking for. So this is a very big one, so let me enable the word wrap. So you guys pause the video and we can type this completely. All right, this is how it looks just for that, right? Then next, what I need to do is just like that same way, all I have to do is to bring the next styles. So I'm going to copy this division from here to here. Yes, copy it. That's the first name, right? This is the first name. And let me scroll all the way to the bottom. And if I paste it over here, this is the last name. Paste it. And if I save this, and you should be able to see the last name. Now I need to change it to last name. And what I need to do, here also I need to change it to last name. I think that's it. That's enough. I don't have to change anywhere else. Last name. And I need to change the Yep, that's it. So John Doe, perfect. And this division is completing over here, and its root division, what is it? This one. It has been completing. Let me minimize this one. Let me minimize this one. So these both divisions are inside this div, this one. So right after here, next I need to create one more div where I can display the for email field. So margin top with 4, and inside here I'm gonna bring this, copy this division, and I'm going to bring the email field, which is pasted, and let me change this into email, change this one as well as email over here, and type of this field which is going to be email, and placeholder it's going to be email. Otherwise John Doe at gmail.com, something like this, right? Save these changes, so you should be able to see that now. So this division should not have any px. Yep, this is how it looks. Then I'm gonna duplicate this one. I'm gonna copy this division, then I'm going to bring it over here. Okay, all right. So next what I need to do is I need to instead of this email field, this is going to be the message field. Change this to message and change it to text area. Import the text area, change the type, and I'm gonna simply say the placeholder as message, and I'm gonna change the UI look of this. I think the style it's going to be exactly the same, not more changes. Yes, just a few changes in that. So save it, and this is how the message should looks like. Perfect. And right after that, next what I need to do, right after here, I'm gonna bring a div class name, and width of course it should be full, and flex item center, and justify everything should be at the end. And over here I'm gonna bring a button. So bring a button, add component UI class name, and for that I'm gonna bring a very specific button style. So I'm gonna bring it over here, and for this button I'm just going to say send. Save it. This is how it looks, right? And after the medium device, width should be auto, like this. But on the mobile devices it should be like this. Perfect. So now all I have to do is to make sure it is getting the form values. Let me get Vetrivel Ravi, Vetrivel@gmail.com sample, and let me get the inspect elements console, sorry, network. So this button needs to be disabled. When this button needs to be disabled, if it is submitting the form, is submitting, or is not as valid, it's need to be disabled if any of these conditions are true. Okay, so somehow we are missing something. Let me check it out. Now let me check it over here. If I click the console, if I click send, okay, so message is missing. Message, it's there. Okay, message at least should be 10 characters. Okay, hi there, how are you doing? So now it is much bigger, which means it is working perfectly. So not as valid. So now still be able to see that button. So now if I click send option, I should be able to see the first name, email, last name, message, all these things. Now all I have to do is to create an API and save all these informations into our database. Then I need to display it in the dashboard. So that is what we are going to do now. So let's go ahead and do it. All right then. So now what I have to do is let me collapse everything and let me get into the app API, and I'm going to create a new folder called contacts. And inside the contact, I'm going to create a new route.ts. So here now I'm just going to create an export route. So export const post equals to a callback function, open it, and which in case it's going to be an asynchronous function, and this is going to receive a request, which is going to be a request. Right now inside here I'm going to bring the try and catch. So let me open any route and I'm going to bring the console.log inside over here and bring this next response that there is an error over here. So error on creating or updating contact, unable to create, something like this. Then right after here, next what I need to do is I need to parse the body data. So const equals to await request dot json. So open it. So what are the things that I need to fetch from client contact? If I get back over to the top, I need to get the first name, then I need to get the last name, then I need to get the email, then I need to get the message. These are all the fields that needs to be accessed, right? And if any of these fields, if not first name or not last name or not email or not message, in that situation I just need to return a new response as invalid input, like this. Otherwise what I'm going to do, I'm going to create const new contact is equals to new contact equals to await db.contact db.contact.create, open it and supply the data into it. I need to supply the first name, last name, email, and the message. For all these data I'm just supplying those things. Then at the end I'm just going to return the response like this, just a new data alone, just new contact alone, send the new contact alone. That's it. This is the response that we are going to return. All right, so next what I need to do is I need to get into the handle submit. This is the place where the data, everything is being submitted, right? So what we can do is get into the dashboards, manage vehicles, vehicle form, and we can simply copy this try and catch and we can update it. We don't want to type it again and again, so I don't think we need all these things, this, and I do need this toast, and I need to make sure this function as an asynchronous function and get the Axios post API slash contact, supply the data into it, created, let's say thank you, and let's give the we will get back to you soon. And then I need to get the router instance, right? So right after here, const router is equals to use router from next navigation. Right now that it is finished. Yep. All right, so now I hope everything is set now. So let me get in the inspect elements. So let me check the API properly. API slash contact alone. Contact, yes, that's it. And it is a post route. Perfect. Let me get into the network, completely empty. Okay, so here, and let me give my hi there, how you are doing, right? So this is the message that we are sending, and yep, it is perfect. If I click this, it is saying thank you for contacting. Yes. All right, so instead of refreshing, it is pushing the user to it should not push the user to here. It should refresh the page, refresh it. All right, so now if the user typing something, hello there, thanks for creating this project or something. So if I click send, it's saying thank you. Okay, so data, it is being refreshed, and I need to reset the form. Form dot reset. So once the data is successfully pushed, and the page needs to be refreshed, and it should reset the data, right? Now it is resetted, and let me get into the MongoDB, and if I get into the refresh, so where is the chat? We have to see the chat. Yeah, so contact, and here we go. So these are all the contacted messages. Yes, so we have these two things. Okay. All right, so now we know that the contact information is successfully saved, and all I have to do is to fetch the details, and I need to display it in the contact section. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right then, so let me close all these things, close all. So let me get into it. So now what we are going to do is, if I click the contact, so it is going to say 404 error because we don't have that route in our over here. So here I'm just going to create manage contacts, and inside here I'm going to create a new file over here called page.tsx. okay, so otherwise we can keep this as contacts because that is the route I do have, right? And in the routes, main routes, it's saying contact. So okay, and here I'm keeping as a contacts. Perfect. And here as sub C, I'm just going to say contact page and create a div contact page. Save these changes, and there we go. So now we are inside the contact page, and let me click the vehicles page, and what I need to do is I'm just going to copy something from here to here, so don't worry about the rest. Paste it. Let us import this custom breadcrumb, let us import this, and let us import this, and we don't need this, and I do need the separator from add components UI, and let me hide the data table for the time being. All right, so if I say this changes, we are inside the contact, manage contacts, manage contacts. Okay, and the heading, it's going to be contact. Oh, I think we failed to update the count as well as, okay, so we need to fix that one later. Okay, so that's the new thing I'm noticing now. Easy, manage all your contacted messages from one central locations. Okay, so now all I have to do is to fetch just like the same way. What I need to do is here this needs to be authenticated properly. Copy it, and let me change this function to an asynchronous, and here I'm gonna say if auth, so get the auth and redirect from next navigation, save these changes. Okay, and let me bring it to the top, keep it like that. All right, so then I need to get the list of the contacts, fetch all the contacts. So what I'm going to do is get into the actions, and just exactly the same way, get just like the get categories, I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to create a new file called get contacts.ts, and I'm going to paste it, and instead of get categories, I'm going to change this to get contacts, and this is, instead of this category, this is supposed to be changes to contact, and instead of categories, this is needs to be contacts, and here also this is need to be contact. All right, and find many, and it should be order by created at in the descending order. A new contacted message needs to be always on the top. So save these changes, and let me close this. Let me get back over here, and all I have to do is to const contacts is equals to await get contacts. Open it, save these changes. Now I do have this contacts, right? And all I have to do is to here I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to change this to add components, and here I'm going to create a new file called columns.ts, and all I have to do is to copy the columns. Okay, so I'm going to simply copy it, and I'm going to paste it over here. So there are a bunch of errors, so remove this. I don't need to have that error. And instead of vehicle columns, I'm going to change this to contact columns, and I need to get the ID, and I'm going to keep the first name, last name, email, message, and the rest of the stuffs which is not necessary. And I need to keep the created at, this is necessary, rest of the stuff not necessary. All right, so let us bring, I need to display the first name, right? So accessory key is going to be first name, and this is going to be the first name, and I don't need to have this cell informations like this. Okay, so the rest except the we are getting a bunch of errors. Price, let me keep the created at, and I can wait a second, it's giving me a bunch of error. So let me get into the Shadcn and data table, and where it is column definitions. So this is the column definitions which is necessary. Copy this column definition, and from here to all the way to the bottom, I'm going to delete, and I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to replace it. So copy this first name, copy this last name. Okay, let me copy this and paste it one more time. Last name, email, and that is going to be message. So this, instead of the status, changes to first name, instead of this, changes to last name, email, and this is going to be the message. And at the end, I'm going to bring the created at field. Let me get back over here. Where is the created at? Yes, here it is. So I'm going to copy from here to here, and I'm going to bring the created at, and I'm going to bring the buttons from, I need to bring the buttons, right? Wait a second, let me reload the window because it is not showing something properly. Yep, now it is showing import buttons. Why am I getting the error over here? Oh my goodness, this file needs to be tsx. That's the reason it's constantly showing that issue. Okay, so now it is being imported, and the error, everything is being resolved. Okay, so now we have the proper values and everything as we expected, right? And now here what I have to do is I need to format the data. So just like the same way what we did in the vehicle form, get back to the vehicle form again, and I need to format where the page, Okay, just like this, I'm gonna copy this and get back to the page, and here I need to bring the formatted contact, and instead of vehicle columns I need to bring the contact columns. Instead of vehicles, I'm gonna get the contacts and change wherever the vehicle. So here I'm simply going to delete all these things and just change these things to contact. And here we have to get the first name, which is going to be contact dot first name. Then I'm simply going to duplicate these 3 times and change this to last name, change this to email, and change this to message, right? And I need to import this format message from Datahandlers. Okay, still we are getting an error. From where we are getting an error? I think the data type. Let me get into the columns, contact columns, and something assigned as a number. Yep, email is should be a string. Now the type is adjusted. Yep, now I need to enable the data type. So enable it and import the data table from UI data table, import the columns from at /components columns, and import this formatted contacts, and search key it's going to be first name. Save it, and now let me get back over here. There we go. See, we have the persons who contacted, first name and last name, the email address, and what is the message exactly it is. I can able to see the date and time, and you can keep the selections and click it and open it in a different page. You can see that, right? And I need to update this, so I'm gonna change this to a dynamic string literals. So here contacts, it's going to be dollar formatted contact, otherwise contacts dot length. Save it. So that is going to keep you the contacts dot length. So next, what I need to do, I need to do the same stuff inside the vehicles page as well as. So inside the vehicles forms as well as I need to do the same thing, because we need to bring the vehicles count exactly as it is. Then only it will display the vehicles exact counts, how many vehicles counts over here, and this is needs to be vehicles, right? And now it is working perfectly. So let me log in into the admin, login, continue. Okay, so dashboard and this chats. So the chats, it's visible. Sorry, the contact page is visible for every user. So we need to fix that. Show dashboard routes, right? So what I need to do is I need to push this only if the admin ID, the authenticated user ID matches the admin ID. Then only I need to keep this, right? So to achieve that, what we have to do is going to access the user ID. So const use auth. Let me get the user ID, the user who authenticated. Okay, save it, and I'm gonna cut this out. Sorry, not that one. I'm gonna cut this out. Save it. Now you can't see the contacts, and I'm going to push it conditionally if the user ID, if the user ID is equals to process dot env dot the admin uid. So we need to bring it. Then I need to push routes dot push, open it, push this object in it, and let me open the env file, and let me copy this public admin id, and let me get back over here. So save this. Now not for every user the contacts will not be displayed, and So next, what I need to do is I need to make sure here if the user ID is not equals to process.env.admin.uid, then I need to redirect the user to /overview. Save these changes. Now it will be pushed back to the overview itself. User can't directly get into that. Only if he is an admin, he can able to see the contacts messages and everything. So let me log in as an admin. Let me get back to the dashboard. I can able to see the contacts. I can see all the list of contact messages, who contacted me and what is the message they returned, and I can contact them immediately back by using their email addresses, right? Perfect. So it is what we needed. So we finished the contact, and now all one day which is remaining, it's our overview, and that is what we are going to do next. All right then, so now what we have to do is we have to go ahead and fulfill this overview, and we have to do one more changes in our dashboard routes, because this overview needs should not be visible for every user. It needs to be visible only for the admin user. Right, so I'm gonna bring the dashboard routes. So I'm gonna bring this overview as well to the over here. It's need to be an array. Change this into an array. Okay, so fine, change this to an array and add one more this field. Cut this out and then put it over here, and all I have to do is to destructure this array. Now the error will be gone, right? So we are destructuring these arrays separately, then we are putting into it. So this overview will be displaying for the to the admin users only, right? So by default, whenever the user clicks the dashboard navbar routes, if the user clicks that, it's need to push the user to manage vehicles, not the overview, because yeah, over here, and whenever the contacts, so not here, where it is our contact screen. So, and we need to make changes in our contacts as well, as because that is the place where we are redirecting the user. It should push the user to the manage vehicles, because if he's not an admin, he need to be pushed to the manage vehicle sections, right? So save these changes. Perfect. And now these are the analytics that we need to bring. So total users, total categories, total subcategories, total vehicles, and user registration trend by date wise, and total vehicle listing over the time, how many vehicles is registering over the specific time, and vehicle listing by categories. Currently we have only one vehicle on the bikes. Okay, so yep, perfect. Okay, so the reason why the vehicle listing, it's showing for the category wise, it's showing like so one, because we know that for the bike category we have multiple vehicles, right? So right, let me check the vehicles, how many. Okay, so we have only one vehicles over here, so that's the reason it's showing like this. Okay, so what exactly is, so when you are giving a specific date range, in that specific date range, it's going to list you how many bikes, how many cars or vehicles that have been added on all those things, just exactly the total. This is overall vehicles over the time, and this is category wise vehicles over the time, right? So these are all the analytics that we are going to do. So just like this, we can do a lots and lots of analytics. Like we can do analytics on user analytics, mainly the registration trends. We did only one. Just like that, we can calculate the active users, right? Measure daily and monthly active users, and analyze user engagement levels over the number of sessions, time spent, and the platform. And you can say user role distribution, so the distributions of user roles, admins versus regular users. These are the analytics that we can do. And we can go for vehicle analytics, vehicle listings, stop vehicles, sales trends. And you can go for favorites and view analytics, favorites trends, view counts. And you can go for notification analytics like notification status, chat room analytics on chat room engagement, user interactions, and then contact form state analytics. These are the different analytics that you can work, but we can't go for every single analytics. But we are going to give you the overall idea of the analytics, how they are doing and all these stuffs, right? So now let's go ahead and bring all those analytics one after another, right? All right. Let me close all these things, close all. And let me close it and let me get into the app. Dashboard overview page.tsx. This is the one, right? So inside the overview page.tsx, now what we are going to do is, so we're going to customize this layout. So what I'm going to say, class name flex column space y, which is going to be 12, margin y, it's going to be 12. Okay, something like this. Now inside here, I'm gonna bring a grid, class name div, class name grid, and where we can say grid column 1, and on the medium devices onwards, grid column should be 4, and the gap, it should be what we can keep as the gap, we can keep the gap as 4 itself. Yes, right? So here I'm gonna bring a card. So card from add components UI card for this class name, which is going to be padding 4, and flex, of course, it's going to be column, and space y, it's going to be 4, then shadow, which is going to be none. And inside here I'm going to bring the card title, and for the first time it's going to be total users. Then over here in the card description, I'm going to bring the count of that users. So for the time being, I'm going to keep it as 12, right? So here I'm going to say keep it as a card title. So if you save these changes, and that's how it looks. For the card description, I'm going to say text should be 3XL, and font, of course, it should be semi bold, just like that. Okay, all right. So now I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put it for total categories, total subcategories, and total vehicles. So this is going to be total categories, total subcategories, and total vehicles. Save these changes. This is how it looks, right? So what are the things that we need to do? We need to find out all the necessary things here. Before that, asynchronous, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fetch it const auth. I'm going to fetch the user ID. So if not user ID, I'm gonna redirect the user to where /sign in, and it's the same way. If user ID, if it is not equals to process.env.admin email user ID, in that situation we need to simply redirect the user to /manage vehicles. Okay, that's the route he will be rerouted. Perfect. So then what I have to do is I need to fetch the total users, then I need to fetch the total categories, then I need to fetch the total subcategories, then I need to fetch the total vehicles. So let's go ahead and write the action functions for all these things. So inside the actions, I'm gonna create new folder called analytics. Inside the analytics folder, I'm gonna create a new folder called count, data count, and inside this count folder, I'm gonna create a new file called get users count.ts. Then I'm gonna create get categories -count.ts. oops, this is supposed to be a file. New file. Then I'm gonna create a new file, get subcategories count.ts. Then I'm going to create get vehicles count.ts. Let us get into the get users count. Okay, so here import, let's import from at /library/db. I'm going to import the database instance db, save it, and I'm going to say export const get total users count is equals to a callback function, which in case it's going to be an asynchronous, then I'm going to call a callback function. So const count is equals to await db dot users dot count. That's a function which is going to return the count. Okay, so save this changes. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to put it into the categories. Change this to get categories count. Here I'm going to change this to category, save it, and here I'm going to paste this. This is going to be get total subcategories. Here this is going to be subcategory, save it, and vehicles, and change this to vehicle, save it. Right, so I'm gonna close all these unnecessarily opened. I don't need that anymore. So here const total users is equals to await get total users count from actions analytics count, get users count from there. Right, save it. Then I'm gonna copy it, I'm gonna paste it, change this into total categories, total subcategories, and total users count. And here I'm just going to say get total categories, get categories count, and here get total subcategories count, and here get total vehicles count. This is going to be vehicles. Yes, so now we have all those things, and here I'm going to change it to total users dot to local string, and here en-us. So that is going to automatically bring the numbers in a proper way, adding the comma separators and everything. So change this to total categories. Here total subcategories, here total vehicles count. Save these changes, and there we go. So now we're having all this information: total user and total categories, total subcategories, and total vehicles, and all those informations which we have. Next, what we have to do is we need to bring the users trend registrations. So let's go ahead and create the users trend registrations actions. Okay, so what I have to do is basically I'm gonna get into the analytics folder. I'm gonna create user trend registrations .ts. Okay, so from here I'm gonna export const get user registration trend is equals to an asynchronous function. Open it, and basically this function is going to get the start date colon, and it is going to be a date, then it's going to get the end date, and that is also going to be a type of date itself. And inside here I'm going to get the registration const registrations equals to await db dot user dot group by. I'm going to use the group by method. Open it. So use the by property, and then how we are going to group by created at field. We are going to group by the value by created at field. Then we are going to use the var condition and use the created at field. It's going to be gt greater than, it should be greater than new date of the start date. Then it should be less than of new date of today's date, which means the end date which we supplied, right? That's a specific data range that we needed. Then what I need to do right after here, I need to find out the count. So get the count, and using the id, I'm going to try to figure it out unique count. So that's the thing. And I'm going to order by created at, which is going to be as descending order. Okay. So next, what I need to do right after here, I need to format the data for easier handling. So format the data for easier handling on the UI. On the UI part, we need to handle it in much easier. So that's the thing. So we need to return registrations dot map. Open it, get the registration out of it, and make sure it is a value and return an object. Inside here, I'm going to get the date, which is going to be registration dot created at dot to ISO string. Open it, then dot split. Open it, split it with the time, because once it sees the time, I need to split it. Then access the 0th index, that is going to be your date. Okay. Then right after here, I'm going to bring the count. Okay. So which is going to be the register dot underscore count dot id. Right. Save these changes. This is all the function is all about. So for the charts, what we are going to use, we are going to use the recharts. This is the package that we are going to use, React recharts. Okay. So it's really easy for us to work with the charts and everything, and open the npm, and let me say npm install recharts install this. All right, so let me get into the overview again. Inside the overview, I'm going to create a new folder called underscore components, and inside the components over here, I'm just going to say user registration threads.tsx, right? And this is going to be the use client. Then I'm gonna RAFC user registration trends. Save these changes, and let me get back to the pages.tsx. And right after this division, I'm going to create one more div, which is going to be a grid and a grid column. It's going to be 1, but medium device is on, but grid column, of course, it's going to be 2, and gap, of course, it's going to be 4. And here I'm going to bring exactly the same stuff. Copy this, paste it, but I need the shadow over here. And instead of this, I'm just going to say user registration trends, and instead of this card description, I'm gonna bring the user registration trends. Save it, and that is how it should looks. Perfect. And now all I have to do is we have to display the user registration trends. So let's go ahead and structure the user registration props. Interface user registration trends props. Open it, and which in case it's going to receive the date, and that is going to be a string. Then it is going to receive the count, and that is also going to be the number. Save these changes, and let's destructure it over here, which is going to be user registration trending props, which is going to receive the date and the count, right? And instead of this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring the responsive container. Okay, so we need to bring the responsive containers and all those things from the this import statements. line chart and all these things needs to be imported from here. So now I can access the responsive container. So make sure to import all those data. And here I'm going to use the width as 100%, then height as 400. Right inside here, I'm going to bring the line chart. Okay, close it. And inside the line chart, we need to supply all the rest of the data. So data, which is going to be the data what we are about to receive in it, right? Okay, so this not like this way we need to receive. What we can do is, so let me break this. So this is the date and count only we are going to receive in it, but it is going to array of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it as a data, which in case the data is going to be the type of user registration trending props of array, like this. Right now the issue will be rectified. Then what I need to do, I need to supply this Cartesian grid with the data is equals to data, right? Then for this I'm just need to say stroke dash array, which in case it's going to be 3 and 3, like this, and that is supposed to be a string. Okay, just like this, I need to bring the x-axis, y-axis, tooltip, and the line, just like this. X-axis, the key is going to be date field, and for y-axis, which is going to by default, it's going to be count, and the tooltip, which is going to, if you wish to keep supply the date key, you can keep the count over here, count. Okay, tooltip and all these things. And if you save this changes, and here I need to supply the data, I need to fetch the user registrations, right? So how we can fetch it? So all you have to do is to wait a second. Yep, so in the page.tsx, in order to do that, first I need to get the today's date. So const today is equals to new date. Open it. Then I need to get the start date, where I need to start date is equals to new date of today. Then start date, so we need to calculate for month, current month. So start date dot set month, which is going to be start date dot get month of -1. In that situation, it means it is going to set to the first date for the month, right? And then const registration data is equals to await get user registration trends and supply the start date, because that is the today's date, start date. Then I need to supply the end date, when it is need to end it. So it should end it on today. Okay, which means if I'm right now what it's 24th, I need to fetch the data for 1st October to 24th October, right? That's the thing that we are trying to do. Then I need to supply that registration data over here, save it, and that is going to give you the trending line based on that. Okay, so currently one vehicle was registered in that specific date. You can see yep, 23, 17, 17. So these are the trending lines. So in the 17th we have one vehicle, and 17 again another vehicle, and on 23 we have another vehicle. So if you're creating one more vehicles in any specific date in that date range, it is going to create one more date, and it's going to give you the trending line over there. Okay, so yep, this is the thing. Next, what I need to do is I need to bring this total vehicle listing over time and vehicle listing by category. So I can keep this. So let's say column span 1, but on medium devices it should be column span 4. It should take the complete column span. Perfect, right? So now let's go ahead and bring this total vehicle listing over time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it, and this is going to be 2, and I'm going to paste it one more time, and that is also going to be column 2 columns. So now we should able to see the same thing over here, right? So column span 1, why it is supposed to be looking like this? Okay, so it should be 4 columns. Yep, now it looks like this. Okay, perfect. That is what we needed. So this is going to be, what is this? Over here, instead of this, I need to bring the total vehicle listing over by time. So paste this, and here I need to fetch the vehicle listing by category. So I need to get the vehicle listing by category. So let's go ahead and create 2 more analytics in it, and let's minimize the count, and here I'm just here going to get the get total listing over by time.tsx. All right, so what we are going to do is, so let me bring it and put it over here. So just exactly the get total vehicle listings, just exactly the same way what we did for user registration strength, we are going to keep it over here. Okay, so save these changes, and then let me get back to our analytics, and here I'm going to create one more function which is going to get the vehicle listing by category.tsx, and for this I'm gonna bring it the code, and you guys just pause it and type it. So here we are getting the category trend, and we are just making sure whether it is working properly or not. I just added all the way up the comments properly so you can understand what exactly it's happening. Then getting extract the IDs, retrieve the category names, and make sure it is printing, then map it properly for quick lookup through the names and IDs. Then we need to return the results based on the category. We need to return the count, and it should be inside that specific trend, right? So save these changes, right? So now we have the both of them, and inside the components over here I need to create the components for total vehicle listings. So total vehicle listings.tsx, and for the total vehicle listings, so I'm gonna simply display it like this, just like this, total vehicle listings, just exactly what we did for the registration. We have to get the same data and display it, and then all I have to do is to get into the page.tsx, and over there I need to fetch the total vehicle listings. So I'm gonna bring the total vehicle listings, so right after here supply the start date and today's date, and then get it imported properly. Then all you have to do is to supply it properly. So here total vehicle listings, and supply the total vehicle listings. What is the variable name? Yeah, total vehicles data. Save it, and that is going to gives you like this, right? Then we need to bring the one more, which is going to be a bar chart, and that is going to be for your vehicle listing by category.tsx. So in that I'm gonna bring the exact same thing, but except the line chart I'm gonna bring the bar chart. That's it. So just pause it and type it exactly as it is. So save the changes and get back to over here, and here I'm going to copy and paste this, and I'm going to change this to we can change this to category trend data, and get vehicle listings by categories imported properly, and here I can say vehicle listing by category, and here I can simply supply category trend data. So save these changes, and you should be able to see the bikes, and now the total count is going to be 3, and all the all the vehicles are going to be the bikes above. So that is the thing, right? So we successfully inserted the charts, and this one is completely responsive as well as, right, this one is completely responsive and is working as we expected, and even on the big screen this is how it looks. So we successfully finished creating a used vehicle responsive full stack project where the user can see having this nice landing page, and he can directly start filtering the data over here. If I click the search, it is going to search for the vehicles only on the low mileage fields. So currently we don't have any specific fields on the low mileage. If I clear this field, and that's going to bring all the remaining data over here, right? And I can able to search for any specific vehicles. So yeah, for the few images are taking some times because it is coming from the Firebase server, so that's the reason. And this is the really high quality image, that's the reason it's taking so long. And if I search for any specific terms, for instance, if I search for Honda, and if I click search over here, and that is going to figure it out what are the matching terms, and it is going to bring the record, and is having the smooth animations done by using the framer motions, right? Then I can able to filter the data by using Honda or state or district, whatever the things. So if you wish to state, choose the district, choose the state, then the district will go popped up, and choose the district, you will get the data. So clear it, it will be gone. And if you choose to search for EV, and if you search for petrol, it is going to bring the record, automatic or manual, or even we have the dual range slide bar. You can adjust the price range based on that. From the 1000 to 2 lakhs 14,000, it is going to get you the bikes range from that, or 1 lakhs to 2 lakhs 1 lakh 60,000 to 2 lakhs 14,000. It is going to bring you the price range based on that. Or if you adjust this, it is going to get you the data. So this dual slide bar also, it's working perfectly. And in the contact, if anyone wish to contact this our website, they can simply give the details and fill these details, and if they send it, they is going to send a message to the user, so the admin can view it. And in the admin and in the dashboard over here, we can able to create a new vehicles, and as an admin I can able to see all the vehicles whoever created, and I can view it, and I can delete it even if I wish to, and I can simply click to view it. Then I can edit the form details completely, including the images and everything, even if it is not created by that specific. Okay, so as an admin, I can't edit any of these fields, but I have the privileges to delete this record, and I have the privileges to remove all these the statuses, change the status. So, and we do have the push notifications as well. As for instance, if I put it on the pending, and instantly I will get a push notification, and as a client, as a user who created this, he will also get this notification. And this vehicle, if it is pending, it will not be visible for the users, right? Only if it is in the status of approved state, he can view it. So let me change the status to approved, and we can able to see it in the vehicles page instantly. And every time whenever I'm making changes, I will get the push notifications, and I can mark all these notifications as well as a read and one, or I can simply delete the entire notifications. If it is every single notifications are readed, you can simply change. Previously it was unreaded, now it is readed, right? And if I get to the dashboards again, and these are the vehicles things, it's seeing vehicles, chats and everything. So if the users wants to chat with us, so for instance, if I click over here, and the chat screen is also implemented successfully. If I click inquire now, so a new chat room is going to get created, and we are going to chat with that specific user. These are the list of chat rooms, and I can directly communicate with him. He also can communicate with us. And if I click the contacts, I can able to see the list of contacts, whoever contacted us so far. And if I get to the overview, I can see the overview analytics, total users, total categories, total subcategories, vehicles, on all these things. So we successfully created a full stack project, and only one thing that we have to do is to deploy this project. So let's go ahead and deploy the project now. So in order to deploy this, first I need to make some changes, commit all the changes. Project done with chat and analytics, and commit all these changes. And I'm gonna push all these changes to our GitHub. So if you are wondering when we integrated the GitHub, please follow the part one. So in that part one itself, we finished all these stuffs. And let me get into the Vercel projects. And this is the project which we created. Next, full stack used vehicles Prisma MongoDB. And even the deployment, because I pushed the changes. So here the project should now start to building. This is the current one. Yeah, this is the one which we pushed yesterday. We pushed it using GitHub only. So every time whenever there is a changes in our GitHub, this needs to be deployed. And in deployment, for due to some reasons, it is not deploying. We pushed it on the main branch only. Yeah, over here. It's showing it is failure. All these changes have been pushed properly. Yep, all these changes have been pushed properly, but why it is not being reflected over here? All right then, so let me delete this project and let me redeploy it one more time. So not an issue. I don't know why it is happening. So let me delete this, copy and paste, and I'm gonna say delete my project and continue. So that project will be deleted. Perfect. So that's fine. And here I'm gonna create a new project. And this is, see, now it's showing 2 minutes ago this product repository have been updated, and let me import it. And I'm going to bring all the environment variables. So where it is, I'm going to bring all the environment variables and straightly paste it over here. And if I deploy these things, so this might take some time, so you guys have to sit tight until it's finished successfully. All right then, so now the project is successfully deployed. So let me click continue to dashboard. Okay, so here we go. So project is deployed now. So let me click this and let me open it. Let me make it big screen. So here we go. So taking some time to load. All right, so perfectly fine. So it is loaded successfully. For you guys, it might not be logged in automatically. You should log in. So let me log out. All right. Yep. So we successfully created, and let me check out. Let me check everything. Log in and let me see all the changes are there or not. Continue. Yep, it's working. And if I get into the vehicles, there I can able to see all these vehicles and everything. So the images for the very first time, it taking some time to load. And filtering, if I click this, yep, filtering, everything is working perfectly. And if I click contact, okay, so let me check. Vetrivel, Ravi, hi there, thanks for completing this project. So if I click send, I should, yes, thank you. Okay, so we are getting this message. And okay, so the form refresh is taking some time. Form needs to reset, right? So that's it's taking some time. And if I click dashboard, and it's taking some time to load, don't know why. Okay, so over here Vehicles, if I click the admin view, I should able to see the entire admin vehicles. Perfect. And if I click a view, and I should able to see the entire information about that specific vehicles. All right, it's working. And if I get to the contacts, I should able to see all the contacts. So this is the new contact which we typed right now. Okay. And if I get to the chats, it should see the list of chats. Okay, so if I click this, that is should bring the list of chats by that specific user. So it's working as it's supposed to be. If I click the overview, I should able to see the overview as well as. All right, so it is working as we expected. So we successfully finished this project. If you have any questions and all this thing, please leave your questions in the description. And if you wish to have the source code, click the link in the description and you can have your source code, right? And let me know what you feel about this project and whatever the ideas that you have. Please drop your opinions in the comment section below. Thank you.